Most people try to change their life by changing their circumstances, a new job, a new routine, a new environment. But few ever examine the structure beneath it all, the architecture of belief. Long before action, long before habit, long before success or failure, there is belief. Not the loud kind, not the kind you declare publicly, but the quiet, unquestioned assumptions you carry about yourself, about others, and about the world. What you believe about effort, what you believe about limitation, what you believe about what is possible. And here is the unsettling truth. Your life is not shaped by what you occasionally think. It is shaped by what you repeatedly believe. Belief operates like gravity, invisible, constant, unargued with. You do not wake up each morning debating your core beliefs, you live from them. If somewhere deep within you there exists the belief, I am always behind, your actions will unconsciously reflect that. If there is the belief, nothing ever works out for me, you will move through life scanning for confirmation. Not because you are negative, but because belief filters perception, and perception directs behavior. The question then is not, what do you want? The deeper question is, what do you already believe? Take a moment to consider that. What assumption about yourself has quietly followed you for years? If something immediately came to mind, that is not accidental. That is architecture, and architecture once seen can be redesigned. Beliefs are rarely formed through logic. They are formed through repetition and emotion. A sentence heard enough times becomes internal truth. An experience repeated enough times becomes identity. A child who hears, "You're not good at that," does not argue with it. The mind absorbs it. A teenager who fails publicly may begin to believe, "I am not capable." An adult who experiences betrayal may begin to believe, "Trust leads to pain." None of these begin as declarations. They begin as impressions. And impressions, when revisited again and again, become convictions. What makes belief so powerful is that it feels factual. It does not feel like a story. It feels like reality. But belief is not reality. It is interpretation. Two people can experience the same event. One builds strength from it. The other builds fear. The event was identical. The interpretation was not. And over time, interpretation solidifies into belief. Belief becomes lens. Lens becomes perception. Perception becomes choice. Choice becomes destiny. If this resonates with you, consider leaving a comment with one belief you've had to outgrow in your life. Not for performance, but for awareness. Awareness is the first shift in architecture. There is an important distinction between thought and belief. Thoughts pass through the mind constantly. They rise and fall like waves. Beliefs remain. A thought says, "I might fail." A belief says, "I am someone who fails." A thought questions. A belief concludes. And once a belief concludes something about you, your nervous system begins to organize around it. You hesitate where others move forward. You withdraw where others persist. You expect what you fear, not consciously, but consistently. Belief influences posture, tone, risk tolerance, persistence. It shapes how long you try before giving up. And this is why belief often matters more than skill. A skilled person who believes they are incapable will underperform. An average person who believes they can grow will often surpass expectation. Because belief determines endurance. It determines whether setbacks are interpreted as proof of inadequacy or as part of progression. The difference is subtle, but over years it compounds. And compounding belief is one of the most powerful forces in a human life. Belief does something even more remarkable. It searches for evidence. Once a belief is formed, the mind begins scanning the world to confirm it. This is not weakness. It is neurological efficiency. If you believe people are generally kind, you will notice kindness. If you believe people are selfish, you will notice selfishness. The same world. Different evidence collected. Belief acts as a magnet. It draws toward itself supporting proof, and the more proof it gathers, the stronger it becomes. This creates what psychologists call a feedback loop. Belief shapes perception. Perception selects evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. And the loop continues, unless interrupted. The interruption does not begin with force. It begins with noticing the pattern, noticing the lens. When you catch yourself saying, "This always happens to me," pause. Always, or often, or occasionally. Precision weakens distortion, and distortion is often what fuels limiting belief. Belief is not only cognitive, it is emotional. When you believe you are capable, your body feels different. When you believe you are inadequate, your body feels different. Emotion is not separate from belief, it is generated by it. This is why affirmations alone rarely work. You cannot override a deeply held belief with surface language. Belief must be examined, not denied. To change belief, you must trace it. Where did it begin? Was it one moment, one voice, one experience? Or was it repetition over years? Most beliefs dissolve not through argument, but through evidence gathered intentionally. If you believe, "I am not disciplined," begin collecting proof to the contrary. Small proof, daily proof. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is a practiced identity, and identity shifts through repetition, not declaration, slowly, quietly, intentionally. There is power in asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" ask, "When did I begin believing this?" Instead of, "What is wrong with me?" ask, "What story have I accepted?" The mind answers the questions it is given. If the question assumes defect, the answer will justify defect. If the question assumes possibility, the answer begins searching for possibility. Belief is flexible, even when it feels permanent, but it yields only to consistency. New belief must be reinforced, not merely entertained. And reinforcement comes through aligned action. Small actions that contradict the old narrative. One conversation initiated. One commitment kept. One risk taken. Each act becomes architectural reinforcement. Brick by brick, identity is rebuilt. It is important to understand something here. Changing belief does not produce immediate transformation. It produces directional shift. And direction matters more than speed. A 1-degree change in trajectory, sustained over years, leads to an entirely different destination. This is why subtle internal work creates profound external change, not because it is dramatic, but because it is consistent. Many people chase breakthrough moments, but life is more often shaped by quiet reorientation. A shift from "I can't" to "I am learning," from "this is who I am" to "this is who I have been." Language reflects belief. Belief reflects expectation. Expectation shapes experience. If you are still listening at this point, you already understand something deeper is at work in your life. And that awareness alone is evidence that your architecture is evolving. At this point, something important becomes clear. Your life is not random. It is patterned. And patterns are built from belief. You do not have to fight your circumstances. You must understand your assumptions. You do not have to force motivation. You must reshape interpretation. The outer world responds slowly. The inner world shifts quietly. But when belief changes, behavior follows. When behavior follows, outcomes adjust. If this reflection has brought clarity, consider sharing your thoughts below. What belief are you ready to examine more closely? Growth begins not with noise, but with recognition. And recognition, once honest, changes everything. The architecture of belief is not fixed. It is constructed, and anything constructed can be rebuilt.